Hey everybody, I'm going to go through what are going to be 3 live streams, all related to one topic. Yeah, you guessed it. The June 21st, 6 o'clock in the morning raid by the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, on the home of Oakland Mayor Sheng Thao. And so there have been, as you know, if you've paid halfway attention to this, a flurry of activity of new developments. And I also say, hey, look, I really appreciate everybody who has sent me all kinds of tips and contributions, investments for Zenny 62 Media. I call them investments because we're a for-profit. We're not a nonprofit, and I don't believe in nonprofit news, and I don't believe in nonprofit news because of the kind of shenanigans that go on where you have to basically lie about who your funders are or your actual direction and mission and all that sort of thing. You're for profit. Hey, look, you know what? You can choose to play it like I play it. Okay, look, we have a sponsor post here by X, or we were commissioned to get out the content for Inside Terminal Solutions and all that. I love it because it sticks a massive, massive, massive thumb in the eye of this nonprofit news that lies about who is backing it, and then gets involved in political campaigns when the IRS law says it should not, and that it would result in paying a hefty fine and possibly losing its status. Yet a number of organizations too, and I think right off the top of my head in Berkeley and Oakland, do it anyway, and they run roughshod over the law. Okay, enough of me on that. But my point is, I want to thank you very much for that, and also say this. For those sending tips, please remember that if you're sending me something from another publication, I'm not going to use it. There's nothing, I don't mean anything personal toward you. Thank you for thinking of me. But what I'm saying is that valuable news is most when it is original, not when it's repeated by someone else. That's a fact. Now, if it's brand new in the cycle and you say, hey, look, I just saw this, and I'm pretty sure that one organization has it, but you need to have it right now, I get it. I appreciate that. And I've reacted. But the preference is for tips and photos that no one can get, so I don't get scooped by an organization that has all these deals with television and all this. They ought to have a deal with Zenny 62 Media. All right, with that, I begin, okay? Reena Webb, as you know, has really emerged as a player in this matter of, the raid. She surfaced after the raid happened, basically saying, for all practical purposes, she was responsible for it. Well, I have long believed that was questionable, primarily because, and I'm going to say this in another video, my experience, which I've outlined on, or not more than outlined, really described on ZennyReport.com, where I went through various, and I'll go there right now. I went through various text messages that she sent to myself and to Seneca Scott voluntarily. In other words, we didn't know she had them and said to say, hey, by the way, can you send us all these things? Oh, no. These all came out of the blue. Why? Because Ms. Webb was triggered, massively triggered, that Brandon Haramy was retained by Mayor Thao to join her in going into the mayor's office from working for her as an aide in her Oakland District 4 City Council office representing the Oakland Hills. Why was she so triggered by it, talking about Ms. Webb? Because of claims that he's put drugs in. This is what she's saying, that he put drugs and drugged her coffee, words to that effect, words that were similarly uttered by Leona Powell in her civil rights complaint of October that was presented back in the summer of 2022. But Leona Powell came on to Zenny 62 to talk about it for almost 2 hours October 26th of 2022, just before the election. And so it really outlined a case against Sheng Thao. All right. So when then Ms. Webb brought her complaint to us, to me, this time, the first time in December, after I wrote that, December 2022, I wrote that she was going to put a hit job or do a hit job on Lerone Powell. That's what I described it as, a hit job. And I suppose I should go and, bring that one up, right? But and that came from a very good source. It was confirmed in odd ways by a lot of people, including attorneys for the Oakland police in the city of Oakland that wanted to know if my informant was a police officer. And look, I didn't have to tell them, but I thought, you know what, in the interest of simply goodwill and avoiding a lot of complications, I'm going to tell them no, because it's the truth. Right? No, they were not my informant, and at all. So, but what was written had more than the requisite amount of truth, okay, to it, because Sheng didn't want Lerone Armstrong, the chief of police, to be that. She wanted, I was told, an Asian sheriff, and then I was told she was going to concoct a story to make him look bad, all right, because as part of this effort to oust him, to get rid of him, but have a legitimate reason for doing so that it would be unassailable. Everybody could say, oh, he was a bad guy, he did this bad, and everything else. All right. That was what I was told, and it went viral. Okay. It went viral, and I made it as both a video blog and a blog post called Why an Oakland Police Report of a Bumbling Cop Was Really a Hit Job on Lerone Armstrong. And I'm looking at the text from that right now. I already had a Zenny62 blog. Let's see if that, which is my next stop anyway. And so, well, I've got to deal with that one. So anyway, that was when Ms. Webb contacted me initially and told me about how she thought she was being stalked by the OPD, and that an officer was parked right outside on the side of City Hall, that is 14th Street, where she parked, or claimed that they were parked. And this is true. I'm not saying she was lying, because she presented in a text message the car itself, right? And it was a place I parked at when I represented Mayor Elihu Harris, as his economic advisor. So I thought, well, that's a normal parking space. And then on top of that, Ms. Webb herself sent me a text message copy where Officer Aaron Smith responded, "Hey, your post is misinformation. We're not observing you in any way." His words. All right. So that laid. Then Ms. Webb famously quit on New Year's Eve 2022. Okay, on New Year's Eve 2022. And I will read to you why. Because she quit, and I'm presenting the email right now. Share screen, which is on at zenireport.com. You probably read it before, but this context is to present the two different types of information she's putting out there. Okay, so in order to do that, I have to do this. Now, oops, that's not the one. This is the one. That one. Okay. Here it is. Okay, and I'm going to enlarge it so that you have a better view of what you're looking at. excuse me, what we're looking at, I should say, and I'm about to read to you. And I will zoom in once, zoom in twice, and zoom in a third time for good. And how about a fourth time? Let's see if I can get it there a fourth time. Yeah, maybe even a fifth. Let's try for a fifth. Yeah, there we go. Here's the fifth time. Okay, this is what it reads. And this was put out. Let me give you the full enchilada here. All right. Reena Webb wanted Sheng Thao text messages made public. On Wednesday, January 25th, 2023, I received a text message that consisted of photos and text. And for a second, I thought it was some Seneca Scott, and it's from Reena Webb. And then I wrote that back on December 30th of 2022. I, as Zenny62 Media CEO, broke the story that Reena Webb issued an email announcing she was resigning her post as Tao's chief of staff effective the next day, December 31st, 2022, excuse me. New Year's Eve. Webb described a sad tale where she claimed Mayor Tao's partner, Andre Jones, well, I'll let the email content speak for itself. Greetings all, this is what Ms. Webb writes. Hope this email finds you well. Not sure what kind of games are being played. The fake letter you attached, supposedly drafted on the 30th, one referencing the 27th. I emailed Mayor Tao, she means, a few days prior after she wanted me to attend the event with her partner Andre Jones after knowing he has physically and verbally cursed me on more than one occasion. This is what she wrote. The afternoon of her swearing in as mayor, Andre cursed her out in front, talking about cursed out the mayor elect in front of our city clerk's office for at least 15 minutes. Now, why did he do this? Because he was upset, or excuse me, she was upset, the mayor was, Shang, mayor elect, that he brought his other girlfriend, Natasha. The environment I was working in, she writes, became abusive, radical, and threatening, among other things. I'll be filing an official complaint as well as suing for damages, pain, and suffering, etc. I resigned from Mayor Shang's office due to unfair practices in her office. I sent my resignation on the 31st of December at 2:50 p.m. via email. Please find below. And here's what it reads. Greetings, Mayor Shang. I hope this email finds you and yours well. For various reasons, I'll be resigning effective immediately, 12/31/2022 at 2:50 p.m. I will submit my information to collect my last paycheck along with any unused vacation time and will request that it be mailed to a post office box when that number is determined. Thank you very much for the opportunity and all we've learned from each other. Wishing you the best in 2023. I will continue to serve Oakland as I have my entire life and the generations before me. Blessings, peace, joy, and faith. Well, as I write here, Ms. Webb intended to send that email that I just read to you, right, to a man by the name of Ian Appleyard. Now, Ian Appleyard is the human resources representative for the city of Oakland and a set of news organizations. But Ms. Webb wound up sending the email to every person in the city of Oakland's email system by accident. That is how I wound up getting it and breaking that story of her resignation and her stated reasons for it. I talked to Reena after that initial story. Ms. Webb, an obvious emotional mess from her experience, as well as fear of an uncertain future, including what retaliation she believed Shang might take against her, went back and forth wanting to tell her story on camera with me, but eventually said no, although emails were out in the public. During my conversations with her, what I can report, without going against her wishes, is her dislike for the alleged actions of two people beyond Mayor Tao, the aforementioned Andre Jones and Brandon Haramy, Shang's city council office aide, who Ms. Webb accuses of poisoning her. Okay, of poisoning her. A claim that Leanna Powell made and talked to me about in my interview with her. All right, and that's where this is. This is an hour plus long. Well, almost 2 hours. Watch it if you haven't before. Renia Webb texts send Renia Webb texts send triggered by Sheng Thao's hiring of Brandon Haramy. Rather than fire Haramy, as Ms. Webb and those who were the targets of his attacks using spam Twitter accounts wanted, Sheng brought him over to work for her in the Oakland mayor's office. That announcement was made Monday, January 23rd. Renia Webb issued the photographed text message you're about to see Wednesday, January 25th, excuse me. Ms. Webb the word is triggered by the press release announcement that Haramy, her named tormentor other than Andre Jones, would be kept on staff to work for Sheng as mayor of Oakland. So she sent the text messages to myself and Seneca Scott simultaneously. Somebody asked, well, Seneca sent them to you. No, Seneca did not send them to me. Ms. Webb sent them to me directly and her and Seneca at the same time. Right? Seneca's definitely not a her. The text messages are Reena Webb and Sheng, okay? And so basically, some of you have seen these, so I'm not going to go through these really quick, all right? But these are the messages that she sent. And I point through all of these, okay, to note that at no time did she mention California Waste Solutions. The kicker text message, the one that had the most sting of all of these, was the one that begins with this post, and it's up here, right over here, including this photograph. And folks, this is one of those hold on to your tush moments. This was at 1:30, okay, 1:30, January 15th, 1:30, all right? Andre was taking dollars, that's money, from at least two people promoting them jobs. This is a photograph. What she says is, okay, this is the first time I saw bruises on Sheng's neck, all right? And then she says that the person was, the woman in the foreground is Andre's mom, who replied that she's ready for him to be prosecuted. All right? That's what was written. Then Seneca Scott responds in text, it was very planned to bring this forward soon. This is a very dark and disturbing allegation. There needs to be an immediate investigation, right? Okay? So, if you go all the way down here, and I should have I should put in a button where you can push and actually just go down there if you want to, where I'm about to take you. You will see the follow-up text that points to Ms. Webb's intentions going forward from that point. All right. And that is, there's the Natasha text and photo. And the original version of the text that I shared with you. Okay. And Reena, this is when Renia was texting me back and forth. This is in December. And she says that Reverend Dimmy met with Chief and Sheng to concoct a fake story about me so they can keep all their jobs and cover up Sheng's abuse and the criminal activity Andre is up to. All right. And so, and I apologize, this was sent directly to me from Ms. Webb. This was not in December. This was also during the January 15th day, but separate from Seneca. All right. And then, and so I asked, have you taken a hot shower after all this? Yikes. And she writes back, sadly, Sheng is being abused again and literally has no power at the moment. Andre and Libby's circle is running Sheng, hence who paid for her inauguration celebration. The Vietnamese chamber was supposed to sponsor, okay, but they didn't, all right? It was the owner of Scott's and all of Libby's developer group. So again, there's no mention of California Waste Solutions here at all, or the Dong family at all, at all. And I wrote Ray Gallagher. Okay. Okay. And so I was asking why she doubled down because it was still confusing. Okay. And this is the one where Lieutenant Aaron Smith, and this is the December one, where he writes, Lieutenant does, I can assure you that the police cards at City Hall has to do with a facility reopening to the public. You are not being sought by this department. This post is misinformation. Your police report is documented with us. Thank you. I've already spoken with the DA's office on the Department of Justice. They will be contacting OPD about that report. Also went to get tested and was confirmed to be poisoned by both myself and my 9-year-old son. Okay. And then Reena says that there's a John Fisher connection. All right. And she wrote, Happy Sunday, Zinni. No thanks, not at the moment. I can say Sheng is acting by direction from the old Libby guards, including her own partner, Andre, who I discovered is very close with the Fisher family, going way back to growing up in Detroit and boarding school. I have not been able to confirm that. They all played Sheng and are using her to do their bidding. Well, okay. Chinese, Vietnamese, Latinx, and Black leaders are hosting a press conference on Tuesday asking Sheng to resign immediately. She mentions Vietnamese leaders. So again, there's nothing here that points to California Waste Solutions or the Duong family in any way that would imply some illegality. If anything, it implies that, hey, they don't like what the mayor-elect is doing. All right, regarding moving forward, particularly with Lerone Armstrong and everything else. And I said, yeah, I saw that crying for my city, first job out of grad school. They said, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And I write, oh my God, Renia. Oh my God, Renia. This is horrible, horribly sad, horrifying. Are you authorizing me to use this in a post? She does this. Thumbs up. See that? Thumbs up. Also, it would help beyond measure if you came on my live stream and we walked through this. Will you do that? She gives me a heart, folks. She gave me a heart. Heart. Then she doubles down with that. Please share with as many outlets as possible. I have been in talks with the Department of Justice and the DA's office. I said, will you do that? And she responded, heart. Okay. So, all right. So, is all of that. Let me now get your comments here. Sorry. Monty Mason says, I was on the fence about Tao, but a disgraceful and frankly embarrassing MAGA-like conspiratorialist charges of San Francisco and Piedmont billionaires disqualifies her completely and forever. And then we have Mr. Mason saying, or writing, Oakland has its own billionaires and San Francisco elites only want to steal sports franchises and downtown real estate and airport draw in which Oakland invests. Ed says, this is beyond corruption. Yep. And Mr. Victor Fuentes writes, Sheng Thao is a fool that needs to resign from the mayor's office. First, she missed the deadline to file for funding to help fight crime. Second, childish negotiation skills to keep the A's for 3 years. You know, absolutely. So what gets me, though, all right, is how she went from, you're thinking, well, how did she go from that to now, right? In other words, how did she go from 0 to 60 in 5 seconds for all practical purposes? We consider the involvement of the FBI, or did she? And the reason why I say that is because of this email that I received from the Ethics Commission, all right, when they got their brand new, newly minted Nicholas Hydorn. I'm not going to post this. Maybe I should do that because what the heck? His email is public, so why not? I mean, because his email is public, so I'm not violating any confidences if I do that. I don't believe. Let me see if it's something written on here that would get me in trouble with them in terms of wording. And guess what? There's not. So guess what I'm going to do? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Hold on a second. Share screen. Boom. Voicemail. Boom. Right. There. All right. This is what it reads. Let me see if I can enlarge this a bit. He's a public figure. You ought to have his email anyway. Boom. And boom. Okay. Works for the government. All right. It goes like this. Let me see if I can go three more booms. 1, 2, 3. All right. And then move this over a bit. Let's see if it's not. Yeah. Is it? Come on, go down here, and then it will not move over. So you know what I'm going to do, folks? I got to pull it back some booms. I got to zoom out, and zoom out, and I'll just read it, okay? And I'll just read it from here. All right, there, okay? So, hi, Mr. Abraham. It reads, thank you for your welcome, and thanks for pointing out that Chief Russell's profile, talking about Simon Russell, their investigator, has dropped from the staff page. We've had some website issues of late. It's since been fixed. Regarding the complaint by Leona Powell against Mayor Thao, that case is under investigation. This is July 27, 2023. If you choose to report on this information, the Public Ethics Commission requests that you also include the following statement from the Public Ethics Commission and or a substantially similar clarification. Quote, the investigation of a complaint does not necessarily mean that any violation of the law occurred. Only a vote of the Public Ethics Commission can determine a person's liability. And then it goes on to read this. Regarding Renia Webb, I have reviewed the named complaints in our formal complaint database, which excludes the names of anonymous and informal complainants, and do not find her name. You understand that? Do not find her name. Okay? I repeat, do not find her name. This was the 27th. What was the date up here again? What was that? 27th of June of 2023. Almost a year ago. Okay? So, again, the investigation of a complaint does not... Okay, you got that. And then, regarding Renia Webb, I reviewed, Nicholas writes, the named complainants in our formal complaint database in parentheses, which reads, which excludes the names of anonymous and informal complainants, close paren, and do not find her name. Ms. Webb did include the Public Ethics Commission on an email to various city officials, which we logged as an informal complaint. So, where does Ms. Webb fit in here, really? Well, a source told me, who has a special tie, that means this person should know, that it was the Ethics Commission that went to the FBI, but that Reena Webb was ready. In other words, ready when it became her turn to speak. But again, it still doesn't explain how California Waste Solutions came into the picture at all. Okay, at all. All right. And so Kev F. Hey, Kev. Kev says that was a wild read. I don't get the part about Fisher, Libby, and Andre playing her. I don't either. But see, my philosophy is this, and it's different from traditional media. I put out information, even if it's hard to corroborate, right? But if there are threads in it that are part of a story that come from a source, all right? Okay? It came from Ms. Webb, right? So am I going to exclude that like other people have done? I will tell you right now, I gave those text messages to KPIX, Phil Mateer, who I've known since 1993. Phil told me, Zenny, you run with it. That's what he said during the time that I was in communication with Ms. Webb. So it's not like the rest of the media didn't know. I made sure of that by informing Phil. Okay, we had a long talk about those text messages, including and specifically the ones with the allegation regarding domestic violence. I didn't float them because they were so powerful and explosive. And okay, I'll just be candid. I didn't want to believe it. But is that a reason not to do something? No. That was bad on me. And the reminder that it was bad on me, all right, was brought to my attention when Ms. Webb presented herself yet again, giving me an opportunity to reintroduce everything that I knew and clear up the fact that I didn't do it before. All right? Because that's not right to her. I mean, it's not. She wrote it. And you saw the text messages, like where she said, I want this to go to the outlets. Because what happened to begin with is that Webb originally wanted the big white media, as I call it, to get the information, the email that was sent out, but she pressed the wrong button and she sent it to the entire doggone Oakland employee family. 4,000 people, including a friend of mine, Pamela Fernand, who worked for Lauren Taylor at the time, and sent it to me and said, Zenny, you got to have this. Okay. That's how it started for me. Thank you very much, Pamela. Love you and your husband. Eli, her husband, she's married to Eli Fernand, who ran for Oakland City Attorney, and I think she'll run again. Okay. So anyway, Mama Hart says, why aren't my comments appearing? Well, that's the first one you put out. So I don't know why you're saying, why are my comments appearing? I mean, unless you got some sort of, invisible code ink. I don't know. I don't play that. Okay. So anyway, Monty says, and what are we to make of Thao's legal counsel resigning the case, bagging out, life rafting the sinking ship? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I happen to have interviewed that man, Mr. Pratt. Let me just say Pratt. And this is what it's not Pratt. This is what he wrote to me or said to me. I made a video about it on Zenny62 YouTube, and I'll play it here in the panel momentarily. Let's see here. Right there. And channel live here. And where is that? Where is the there it is. Wow. 2,300. Okay, here it is. All right. Here it is, folks. Hold on a second. See, I'll stop the screen, share screen, and then Tony Brass right here. This is me explaining, because I just got off the phone with him at the time. All right. So here is the information from Mr. Brass right here. All right.
The guy to make it on the record. I talked with Tony Brass, the now former mayor or former attorney to Oakland Mayor Sheng Thao. And he told me in detail, in brief, because he's got 11 members of the media he's talking to, why he quit. And he said, very simply, that he understands her situation, that she has a constituency, and she was speaking to her constituency, but it's not his brand. And essentially, what Mayor Thao did was go off the speech that he prepared for her. And he went into an area that was insulting of people who she perceives as having a lot of money, she being the mayor of Oakland, and she describes as millionaires and billionaires, or billionaires more specifically, who live in the hills. And she described a scenario that seemed to imply the threat of attacking them in some kind of way other than just verbally. Politically, of course. But the bottom line is, if you watch the speech, it was quite clear that she was emotional to the point of crying, and decided to simply just let loose and then come up with a rationale for why she did what she did later, much to the chagrin of her new attorney. So, but the bottom line is he wishes her well. He said the parting was an amicable one. His words, the parting was amicable. That's what Mr. Brass said. The parting was amicable. I think he's being generous, and but he says that he also says that he's certain that she'll find someone who represent her in a way that she wants better than he. But basically, he has a reputation to uphold. And also, he said something to me I thought was quite, for want of a better term, prescient. He said that it's important to remember that other than just her constituents, there are other people who are affected by the raid. And I think it's fair to say that Sheng has been traumatized by this. And so I really feel for her psychologically. And because of that, maybe it's better that she take a few days rest or something, but she's not in a position where she feels she can do that. She has to show strength and move through the budget process. I think her staff needs to sit down with her and craft another way that's more professional and not at all combative. The way that they've chosen, this combative way, does not work. It's caused a lot of problems. She went in dividing the city, continued dividing the city, and the divisions have not cleared. They've only gotten worse as the city has worsened. So the mayor and her staff need to find a way that is more professional and effective. It doesn't matter that she's headed to recall. What she does between is now and the recall and the election are some of the most important days, or will be some of the most important days in this city's history, because of the problems that we have to overcome. And it's not like her reputation will stop after the November election. She has to think about her future. She has to think about how people are going to regard, what she goes from here on out. GKL says she needs to go. And yeah, she does. All right, she does, but she wants to stick around. There are a number of council members. There are several Oakland council members privately that want her to resign. So it's not a good situation for her. But she came off in a way that I described to friends of mine as, I hate to use the term, others have said Trump. I said, no, more like Hitler-esque. Because if you know your history, Adolf Hitler came from low income. He came from a lower class. And he felt that his rising was essentially the revenge of the lower classes against the upper classes. And Sheng evoked all of those thoughts in her speech. And that's this part where she went off the rails. Tony Brass did not write that part of the speech. You could tell the part when she went off the rails. She started wriggling it, okay? And Gigi said, great analogy. Thank you. I know it's not something people want to say. They like to say Trump. But look, Donald Trump is calculating. Donald Trump is from the upper classes. Donald Trump did go to some elite prep schools. Donald Trump is from that upper place that Sheng was deriding. But Adolf Hitler is not. And if you've ever seen the movie Downfall and his reactions and his irrational direction, it is really difficult to separate that image of behavior from the way Mayor Town behaved today. And that is putting it out there to its face. If you are a friend of hers, you're not being a friend by allowing her to continue on the course. It's not helping her, and it certainly isn't helping the city. All right. More later. Just want to get that out there. Get your comments. Thank you. And subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube. And bookmark ZennyReport.com and Zenny62blog.com. Thank you.
Yeah, so there's my commentary on that. And so, and that was that. Okay. So thank you for that, Monty, by the way. Much appreciated. Mr. says, do you think Powell will get prison time? Oh my God. I hope not. Because if she gets prison time, given the fact that she's the mayor and she has a staff and people that are her donors and supporters, it's fair to say she wouldn't be the only one. And my concern is for the city's credit rating. All right. So those of you who want blood, if you will, in a legal sense, by, hey, jailer, right? I get it. But we're talking about the mayor who is the CEO of the city. And if the CEO of the city is perceived as being unhinged and shouldn't be in charge, what does that do for our credit rating? And then what does it do for our credit rating if she and others are in jail? Because who else would that take? What other personnel in the city of Oakland might wind up achieving the same fate for whatever reason? Okay? That's me. Hopefully, I really hope that doesn't come to pass. Because we're already in a weak economic situation and we need to have a good credit rating to raise money. Understand? We need to build and do big projects. What this really demonstrates is how over-politicized you and I and our friends and our fellow Oaklanders have allowed the city to become over-politicized. Doesn't matter if some of us crow about it like moi, okay? I wasn't able to change anything.
Keisha Williams.
All right? Hold on a second. Hey, are you calling to go live? Because I'm live right now. You got some news? Oh, you're driving. Okay, cool. All right, thanks. All right, see ya. Yeah, so anyway, my point is, it's all of our fault. I came to within 8 NFL votes of bringing the 2005 Super Bowl to Oakland. We lost to Jacksonville. Imagine what that would have done for Oakland and the East Bay. And it would have reoriented the Bay Area from an economic standpoint. Not, like an enormous wrench, but it would have done a great service in terms of getting Oakland eyeballs on it for years. We need that kind of thing. Instead, we let our sports teams go because we were too personal and dealt with them. I don't want to go on a rant about that. I don't want to get your comments. Enough of me, more of you. But you get what I'm saying, all right? You get what I said, okay? Let me go up here because I've missed some commentary here that's really valuable from folks like Monty. Let me go up here. Yeah, here we go. Right. Okay. It says, Monty says, when it takes the likes of the New York Times, my old hometown paper, and National Geographic to spotlight Oakland's rise, that pretty much ends the discussion. Local mainstream media fail. Yep. Then Kev F writes, Oakland needs a high-profile mayor like Kevin Johnson was in Sacramento. Go Bears, my friend and compadre, who made it his main priority, keep the Kings in Sacramento. Yes, he did. Had the incumbent Heather Fargo had won instead of Kevin Johnson, of course, the Kings would have been long gone, is what he writes. Okay. Then Monty Misson says Oakland irrefutably is the activist cultural center that San Francisco was in the mid 20th century. Oakland deserves high competence, savvy, and vision. Nothing less. Yes, yes, yes. I agree wholeheartedly. Monty says, point of contention. Hitler came from the lower and middle classes, not the poor. Well, okay. Hitler's fascism pivoted on racial and social resentment, the same as MAGA. But here's my point, and thank you for that, Marty, because I believe that invites a valuable discussion that we should not, let go and not do, right? Because if you don't have money, you're pissed off, okay? And if you're pissed off, show me a number of people who have enough money to have leisure time to do what they want to do. All right. And if they're pissed off, you put it into politics and this elected official, yada, yada, yada. Okay. But you might be at the Cannes Film Festival or maybe at the Academy Awards or I think the Academy Awards are going to wind up staying in California if you move to Georgia. Anyway, okay. But my point, and which also gets to some of what we're talking about, doesn't it? Right? So my point is, again, think of the January 6th riots. Now, I contend that a large number of the people that did that were bought and paid for by Trump operatives and people who would also buy, fake crowds using crowds on demand. Go to crowdsondemand.com. You can buy a protest today. I told Libby when they stormed her house that, and when they were going around with that hangman noose thing at Lake Merritt, I said, hey, look, that happened in 2020. And I told her that's part of a campaign. All right. Do you realize that in 2020, we also had shootings at Lake Merritt during Juneteenth? What do we have this time? Okay. What is it now? An election year. Okay. I argue these are engineered. And I beg of you to go, well, I beg you to go crowds on demand. I'll take you there because this is something you need to see. And then I need to move on to my next live stream. Let me see here. I'm getting bombed here. I'm getting some great information here I want to read. My other informant says, maybe so, yeah, I would quit if I were her attorney too. He must have been shocked when she did that. Oh my God. Yeah, those billionaires in Piedmont are a real pain in the ass. Thank you, my dear. Renia really liked Sheng. She did. As a friend and was honored to become chief of staff. She was. But when there comes a point when your ethics are confronted, what a nightmare. Who the hell is Andre? Why does he have a key to the city hall? Hubris and all. Well, he's her lover. Okay, simple enough said, right? All right. So, but let me show you crowds on demand. All right, here we go. Okay, crowds on demand right here. And then click on it. Yeah. And here we go here. And I say, crowds on demand is your home for impactful advocacy campaigns, demonstrations, PR stunts, their words, not mine, crowds for hire, and corporate events. Services available nationwide. You thought I was making it up, didn't you? No. Okay. All right. This is serious stuff. This has gone on. You know who initiated this? This stuff all started happening in 2016, folks. All right. When Donald Trump was running for president. Okay. You can contact them or request a quote. We create out-of-the-box campaigns, audiences, and events to make an impact for our clients. Are you looking to create a buzz anywhere in the United States at Crowds on Demand? We provide our clients with impactful advocacy campaigns and events. We are best known for organizing passionate demonstrations, rallies, flash mobs, corporate PR events, and lighthearted events such as paparazzi, brand ambassadors, and PR stunts. There's that word again, stunts, okay? What they do, protests, look at this, protests, rallies, and advocacy. And then audiences, corporate events, and fan displays, okay? All right? They've been on News Nation and Fox News. Okay, look at that. All right? News Nation and Fox News. Are you getting it now? Okay, thanks. All right? Think about that. All right? Think about all that's happened, okay? All right. Monty says, hold on a second. I point this out as a former student of Robert O. Paxton of Columbia University, the preeminent scholar of right-wing politics and resentment and fascisms. Got it. And what I'm saying though, and you took my example, right? Right, Monty? Okay. All right. You can manufacture this and these protests, but at the seat of them is you have to be able to strike and you have to be able to poke at the bear, that angst of the lower middle classes. Hitler did that. Okay. Hitler did that. Now, sure, did his tactics match the MAGA? Absolutely. I'm not saying they're not different, but I'm saying that what Donald Trump does, in my opinion, is less genuine than what Hitler was doing at the time, but no less dangerous. That's all I'm saying. And I'm saying that's all I am saying. Okay? So, but when you get to what Adolf Hitler was doing and that kind of anger, and then what the mayor exhibited with her speech, I'm sorry. All right. That was not a Trump way. That was, downfall level. In fact, if you've ever seen the movie Downfall, they basically have to do with, the fall of a regime, right? Think about it. All right. So, it says Tao, by contrast, is attempting a progressive populism. Okay. With a MAGA-like narcissistic victim complex. Okay, agreed. So is Hitler. You make a very compelling argument, Reno Prison. Excellent commentary. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. Thank you. He goes on. Question: how can Oakland preserve its credit rating in pandemic stall revival with so many of Tao's corrupted coterie in positions of power? Fire him? Okay. I agree it's not a good look, says Victor Fuentes, for the city of Oakland. But if any CEO commits a federal crime, they probably get federal repercussions. That's right. The corruption needs to be flushed out. And I get what you're saying. But I'm saying that we need to do everything we can to broom ourselves of this problem now. Everything we can reasonably. All right? Because otherwise, it's going to affect how the city looks and its very ability to govern itself. That's where we are right now, in my opinion. Okay? So there we are. All right. Monty Mason says, yes, economic security plays an important role in the rise of fascisms, but really, it's politics of racial social resentment. Formerly dominant groups enraged over the relative rise of minorities. I think that's overblown. And I think a lot of that is fueled by the crowds on demand stuff. Okay. I don't buy into that. I think that there's a lot of trickery there. The reason I don't is because I view people who get involved in that on large as basically nutcase to begin with and fringe and stupid. And look, a lot of people in America are not. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Now, as many of you know, my address is in Adams Point, but I'm here in Fayette County for my mom, and I gotta, make sure she's fine. She hates when I say this, but my mom has shown me the best life in the world. She worked for United. I saw things when I was 6, during the 60s, six civil rights movement, okay, in that area, that people didn't see because we were able to travel to, we were able to travel like first class on 747. All right. It was, I should write a book on how I grew up. My mom wasn't rich, but she knew how to show me the possibility that I could achieve a better life if I stayed on the right path. And you know what that is, right? Okay. So anyway, my point is, I'm here for her. And what I was going to say is that I got sometimes I get upset when I talk about that because hey, I'm an only child, so my point is it's hard to go back and forth and all of that. But it's important to remember that and what I've been able to notice from this perch, and then covering the NFL as I have the draft for 20 straight years, first to do with the YouTube channel, blah, 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 is that we are behind the curve when it comes to economic development and events and structures that pay attention to what we call the MICE industry. That's meetings, incentives, conventions, and entertainment are the ones that economically are all the rage. But we also need manufacturing. Why not convert Eastmont Mall to an auto plant all over again? Back in the 60s and through the early 70s, well, not that early 70s, but the 60s through the late 60s, it was an auto plant, a Ford plant. Well, it's time to rethink that. Why not a Tesla plant? I don't care about how you feel politically about Teslas. I'm just talking about economic mechanisms, having these activities, these points of activities, these export activities, if you will, that bring money into Oakland and raise our revenue level. Do you realize that as a city, we have disconnected ourselves from any economic development and its relation to our budget? And now we wonder why we're in deficit all the time. Just saying, okay? So, all right. So anyway, Monty says Renia Webb is contemporary Oakland version of Nixon's Deep Throat. Yeah. Ed says this is insane. Ed, I agree with you. And Monty says, now this is excellent reporting. Thank you. Kalik says, remember Hitler got his ideas from Jim Crow. Hey. Yep. I mean, you can get really deep into the weeds in this. And I don't say that to gaslight the conversation, but the reverse. I think it is necessary at some point to get into those weeds and figure out exactly where the heck we're going as a city, let alone the nation. Monty says, we agree. Yes, your point is right on. Thank you. Ed says, Sheng is not going to resign, and I doubt she will admit to any wrongdoing. How do you keep a city's credit rating at this point? You've got to make regime change. That's up to the council. You got to put the CAO out there. This is Mr. Johnson's moment to shine. Did Sheng make the right choice? Hey, look, if she did, at least we got something good, right? Okay. If Sheng really cared about Oakland, she would say, you know what? Given what's going on for the good of the city, I'm going to step away. And I want Mr. Johnson to be in charge. However that works out. We need to go back to the system we had, which was less political, where we had a city manager that took 5 votes to fire, not serves at the pleasure of the mayor. Because when that happened, that was Jerry, we went from a CAO that had an average tenure of roughly 4 years to 2.21 the last time I calculated it, which was 5 years ago. That spells instability. That means that not only is the CAO out, but so are the people that work under the CAO. So you have a long-term project, airport expansion, anything else. Well, that just got longer, right? Okay. Says, you really think that either of the Juneteenth shootings were pre-planned? Yeah, I do. My impression of both is that these are pedestrian and depressing. Nope. I think there's, it doesn't take it. When I say pre-planned, I don't mean like everybody was on it. I mean that you only need a few people who are there for the intent of causing trouble. That's all you need. That's what you had in 2020. It's 2024. And think about it. 2020 and 2024. That is not by accident. I do believe it. That is not by accident. Absolutely. Because look what happens. Think about it. Then we're the powder keg and it gets on Fox News and nationwide we're looked as what? Right? That's not by accident. It's not. Absolutely not. And you better not take your eye off that ball because people want you to think it's a happenstance, coincidence. No, not today. Not in internet age. Not with, crowds on demand. How'd you like that, right? And there they are. Right on demand, crowd. Ding, bing. Okay. Haha. All right. Okay. So, all right. He says, write that book. Ding. says need to get the city attorney involved. Yes. I say that because Barbara arguably should be the backstop to these problems, but I argue that our elected city attorney is the enabler of some of this. Arguably all of it. Okay? And she could step up in her role with all this going on and make statements to basically protect the legal picture of the city, to protect our integrity. Barbara hasn't done that. You realize that? It's our city attorney. Okay? And I love Barbara personally. But you know what? I love my city too. Okay? Sheng should have called out who she was alluding to or read precisely and solely the statements her legal team prepared. But splitting the difference today was a mistake. Yep. Sheng is not. Well, I agree with you. Sheng, yeah, she's real. That's what I'm saying. She needs to resign. She's damaged. She's damaged. She's damaged. Do you want to know who answered the door in the raid? I have the picture, which I'm going to present in my next live stream, just right after this one. Short live stream. It was Andre's mother. Okay? Andre's mother. That's what Sheng was talking about as far as how families are affected. That's some sad stuff, man. You know. But Oakland's council is the council up to it. We'll have to see. You know? Well, better yet, we have to say to them, hey, you know what? This is your time to shine. We need your help. We need you guys to step up and make a speech as one. Not here and there because some of you are running for re-election and all that stuff, but as one, as a group, to show us you care. That's what they need to do. Mr. Fuentes says, Sheng doesn't care about Oakland. Thoa is from Stockton. Sure cares about Thoa. Hard to disagree with that one, especially after that speech, okay? That speech was all about her. And some about the city. Some. I'll give that to her because I know her intent. There was a time we got along really, really well. And that, you know, and again, I am very sad over her trajectory. It is not fun to watch. Okay? City council is afraid because they feel they're being investigated. Well, but you know what? No. You know what? Oh, no. Here's why I say, au contraire. Really, really contraire, Pierre. And I know your name is not Pierre. But I will give you an example of one council member who does not fear or didn't fear at this point. I should see if he wants to come on again. Being investigated, and that's Oakland District 1 council member Dan Kalb. And this was in 2020. I'm about to show you where here it that is no, excuse me. That's the 38-minute version. There's a shorter version. There it is. Okay. There's that.
Hey, everybody.
Hold on a second. I'll put that here. Okay, now it is here. Present, stop screen. Go here. Share. There it is. Right there. Okay. Listen to a man who is not afraid of being investigated. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you sitting Oakland District 1 council member Dan Kalb.
Hey, everybody. Back again with my longtime friend now, Dan Kalb. Dan, it's great to have you here.
And good to see you, Zenny.
You too. Thank you. Yeah, and thanks for coming on. Hey, shed some light on this Public Ethics Commission finally having your name in it. What's going on?
Yeah, I think I can't tell you a whole lot because I don't know a whole lot about it, to tell you the truth. There were, I think, a half dozen council members listed in some filing or investigation underway that apparently has to do with alleged money laundering by some contributor or contributors. I just heard about this a few weeks ago. I know nothing more than what was out there in the newspaper or newsletter or whatever. So I'll tell you right off, if anybody thinks that some kind of scheme to give contributions, if indeed that happened, is going to have an influence on me, they will fail. In fact, they already have. The reality is that there was some mention of there is a lawsuit underway with these contributors, the California Waste Solutions and the City of Oakland, for the past couple of years. And I have repeatedly been on the side of the city attorney in opposition to the proposals by California Waste Solutions. So if they thought somehow their indirect donations, if indeed those happen, were going to influence me, they fail. And that's pure and simple. And people who know me and who know me well know that that kind of stuff is not going to work with me.
I have never heard you associated with this sort of thing before.
No, of course not. It's ridiculous. People know my background. They know I used to work for California Common Cause. I'm a strong advocate of campaign reform and public financing. I have a long history of clean money elections. And people also know that I was the author of the 2014 ballot measure, charter measure, to strengthen and give more resources and independence and authority to our Public Ethics Commission here in Oakland. And the subsequent ordinance that came on after that, I also authored that as well. So, that's fine. People want to make hay out of something or exaggerate things. They can do whatever they want. I can't stop other people from negative campaigning if that's what they want to do. I'm working hard both in my job as a city council member, and to campaign for re-election, which is what I'm in the process of doing as well. That's really 2 full-time jobs. And so I'm working hard, getting a lot done, and we have a lot more to do. There's not much I can say about that investigation. I'm sure it's underway, and if something comes of it, great. If they find some wrongdoing, then whoever did the wrongdoing should be held accountable. Absolutely.
Here's what was sent to me. Not the press release, but this is actually the actual document, and I'll read through. This is the Public Ethics Commission claims, and I'll, in the interest of time and out of respect, it's 18 pages. I just scroll down, and I'm not sure if you're looking here, but since.
Whatever the allegation is, I'm absolutely thrilled that the Public Ethics Commission is doing its job and has the resources to do its job to find out what the facts are and to hold people accountable if anybody did anything wrong. And that absolutely is their job, and I support their effort 100%.
I think it's important to make clear something that hasn't been made clear. You're not the defendant. The defendant is Book Hong Tran. It says right in black and white.
Yeah, I guess it's some of the contributors and the Wong family, I guess, who are the alleged money launderers. I don't know the details of the investigation, and whatever happens. If there is a need for, I guess that some of these contributors, a few of these contributors, gave a little bit of money to my old committees from several years ago, nothing recent. And if the city feels that they were wrong, they were illegal contributions, then I, of course, will do whatever I'm required to do, whatever I should do to kind of dispose of that and get the money to the city or to whoever. But until that investigation is over, there's nothing for me to do. I didn't do anything wrong, and so let's just move on and make sure they have a full investigation. We should not impede their investigation. We should not play politics with their investigation.
I agree. This is what was written. It says in 2019, the City of Oakland's Public Ethics Commission launched an investigation of possible violations of the Oakland Campaign Reform Act. And also, I want to make clear, Dan, you've been instrumental in helping build the ethics commissions. It's not like you're on the outside of it, right?
Yeah, no, it's been one of my top priorities in my first term here, and we got a ballot measure through a stakeholder process. It got on the ballot. It passed with about 3/4 of the vote. Very proud of that. And then we did a follow-up ordinance to give them even more authority, which they have now. And I'm glad they're exercising that authority. And it's very important to keep arm's length. That city council members, all elected officials, should keep at arm's length of the Public Ethics Commission. So I'm not going to be getting in their way. I'm happy to provide any information if they have any follow-up information they want from me, and let it take its course, and then we'll see what happens. And if some contributor broke the law, then they should be held accountable.
And it says to further that investigation, the PEC used its pre-litigation investigatory powers granted by Oakland Municipal Code to issue investigative subpoenas regarding several individuals, including respondent Phuc Hong Tran. And then it says the investigation concerns suspected campaign money laundering activity by agents of a major city contractor, California Waste Solutions, as you said, owned and managed by members of the Duong family, including David Duong and Andy Duong and their associates. The laundering scheme spans several election cycles and involves the use of multiple straw donors. These are alleged, making contributions to several different candidate-controlled committees. The straw donors made their donations at the behest of the scheme's authors and are reported as the true donors on public campaign finance filings, but were surreptitiously reimbursed for their contributions. These are also alleged. The authors of this scheme engaged in this activity in a deliberate attempt to circumvent various restrictions on the true source and amount of campaign donations. Petitioner has issued subpoenas in this matter to identify all the authors and participants in this scheme, as well as the extent of the laundering activity. And then it goes on and it gets down to the parties that are involved. And then it mentions that Phuc Tran is insurance agent based in Chinatown, also was the president of the Vietnamese Chamber of Commerce, and that Jennifer Tran, daughter, is a currently executive director. Then it goes down to where I think where it mentions you as here, and other, not just you, but it doesn't mention you as being involved, but as being apparently the unknowing recipient, but allegedly. But it says respondent. This is Mr. Tran was the president of the Vietnamese Chamber of Commerce at least as of 2016, mentions his daughter, Jennifer Tran, who is the current executive director. And then it also reads that Tran was a campaign consultant to Sheng Thao for Oakland City Council, a committee with a suspect cluster. In this case, what suspect cluster?
Which, by the way, Jennifer Tran says is not true.
And so it says, and then it goes on to say that Tran contributed $5,000 to the McElhaney Legal Defense Committee. And that was made on the same day. And then it goes down on to say that, note that Phuc Tran's contributions to the Able Guillen in 2018 to Thao, mentions Dan Councilmember Kalb, and then the former Councilmember Brooks committees are also part of suspect clusters at issue in this case. And I know the term suspect clusters, there needs to be a definition in this. It's not. So I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know the details about what is in there. I know there's some allegation that I got a few contributions back in 2016 and prior to that in 2013, I guess. And again, if those are proven true, then those who did anything wrong should be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. We should not, let this go by. I'm glad there's an investigation going on, and let's see what happens. And if the City Ethics Commission or anybody else or the court says that once this is all done, that all those who receive the contributions need to kind of give them up to the city or whomever, then by all means we'll do that. Let this investigation play its term out. Let them have a full investigation. Elected officials should not be getting in the way of that in any way whatsoever. And then let it get done as soon as possible, and let's see what the result is.
And so they say something about the Phuc lunch and why. I don't know why they actually wrote this the way that they did. I don't think it's funny, but whoever wrote it intended it to be that, and I think it's a very unprofessional act. I'll just say that right now, and it colors this entire effort as far as I'm concerned when you write something like that. Do you know anything about this lunch?
I'm not sure what you talked. I did have a lunch with a handful of people from the Chinese American and Vietnamese American business community. A small lunch. It was really like 10 people maybe. Back must have been 4 years ago or thereabouts.
Yeah, they said according to your committee records, all the potentially longer checks potentially it received were in a single bundle.
Well, there wasn't any bundles. I mean, people paid separately, and I didn't receive any. My fundraiser got them, but yeah, I don't know the details. All we know is that we got checks that seemed to be all up in the up, and just like any other contribution. And again, if a small number of them were inappropriate, then I want to find that out and make sure the people who did anything illegal, if there were anybody, are held accountable. Absolutely.
I have a powerful concern here, and I'm just going to be very blunt. I don't like that this came up in the middle of the election, and I believe that there should be my powerful demand to the city council is to change this to have something where there's no appearance of using government and against a person who is running for re-election.
Right.
You could have held this off until after the election.
Yeah, it's not for me to judge when the Ethics Commission decides to release things or make things public, or what the schedule is of their public meetings or what have you. I will say that when we wrote the ballot measure, based on input from a lot of stakeholders, including good government advocates, we said that any preliminary investigation, the first phase of it, would be kept confidential for the very reason you mentioned. Or that's one of the reasons. However, once there's some level of evidence, what we might have an analogy to probable cause, then they get to the next phases, and then at that point, that could become public if the Ethics Commission wants to do that at one of their meetings. And that's apparently what happened here. Again, I don't have any details. City attorney's involved. I want them to carry through their investigation as thorough as possible. But we have to, I have to focus on, my qualifications, my experience as a elected official and a candidate. And really, should be about not some, investigation that really is not alleging I did anything wrong. Of course, it's an that we really should be talking about, who has the experience necessary to be an effective council member. I have, not only do I have an obvious amount of public policy making experience.
Well, there that is. Okay. The reason why that cut off that way, folks, is because it's part of a larger interview that I did with Dan. It's 38 minutes long. Okay. But my point is that this is 2020. And, as you can see, all right, Dan had no problem coming on my program and answering my questions point by point. And that's the way Sheng should act. She shouldn't be, these theatrics, although she got rated. I get it. But, I get it. Okay. But at some point, she's going to have to just buckle down and what was that old term from one TV show? Handle it. Right. All right. So where are we? Okay. Let's see here. Q says his council is afraid because they feel they're being investigated. I got that one. Sheng will not step away for the sake of Oakland, a political leader who chooses to demagogue for self-preservation over the well-being of 9.5 million citizens has no ethics. Thank you. Says thanks for addressing that. Then I don't see it, but fair. Gotcha. Yes. Thank you for that, by the way. Ed says Dan Kalb is absolutely confident that no wrongdoing was done on his part. His language said it all. Yeah, he's confident. That's what I'm getting at. You know how we got here, right? Was one of you wrote, hey, the council is all, they all did it and they're all on the take and all this. Well, no. Dan says, hey, look, if I did something wrong, I'll accept the punishment, but I don't think I did anything wrong. Okay. Fair enough. Monty says, Kalb speaks straightforwardly. Which council member in any American city does that? That's all I'm saying. See, I've got video to show. It's one thing for people to say it, right? I got video. All right. That was a hard moment. Okay. I can tell by the way he's looking down. Okay. We used to enjoy A's games. See him at the Raiders game, rather. Anyway, do you think going to a strong mayor system would be a good call for Oakland? We are a strong mayor. And Sheng keeps saying that we are a strong mayor. And let me give you a little bit of history, okay? 1993, Dick Spees, District 4 council member then, great man. Much respect, much love and respect for Dick Spees and his wife. A lot of fun over the years. Uh, Elihu's my boss. Elihu was my boss when I was economic advisor. John Russo was a city manager. John used to say, "Dick Spees before he dicks you." But anyway, uh, but anyway, the question is, we already have a strong mayor system, and the reason why that is that the fulcrum point is the city manager was changed into the city administrator, okay, and serves at the pleasure of the mayor. But if you look at the rest of the city charter, the lines flow to the city administrator, who then serves at the pleasure of the mayor. And then it says that the mayor is legally responsible for the economic development of Oakland. That's in the charter, all right? Which means, all right, so, but then it also says that the city administrator picks with the police chief working with the police commission, all right? But then, of course, who does the city administrator work for? The mayor. So that's our version of strong mayor. Sheng wants to do everything. It's like she got in and didn't really stop the struggle. She didn't. How she enrolled is basically, it's kind of like this. Where's my lunch? Like she's king. She's queen in her case. She wants to be queen. You can't be queen. You can be mayor, but not queen. You can't do everything that you want to do. You can't have your salary increase when you want it. You can't have, that's how you cannot control the news and the information how you want it and have people think a certain way. But that's how she has operated. All right. And that's what's gotten her into trouble. And that's on issues you and I both know about. This is one of them that a lot of people don't know much about until now. We're learning. But there's still there's an iceberg, and there's a lot of stuff under there, okay? All right? So my point is that we need a council manager form of government. I say this for a very selfish reason, because people from a professional class, Master of City Planning, University of California at Berkeley, okay, 87, with Kofi Bonner and others, all right? I just had lunch with Kofi in Detroit, by the way. He's CEO of Bedrock now. At any rate, my point is, you need a professional class that is less tethered to the politics of the day. Right now, we have an elected class that's too tethered to the politics of the day because essentially they run it. And that's what's gotten us here. We have a ethnically complicated city. It was the wrong way to go. But Elihu wanted it. Why? For a very good reason. And I supported it before I started working with him and while I worked for him. Why? Because Elihu felt that as a black mayor, he wasn't getting the operational respect that he needed. That he needed to be able to actually pull a lever and have something happen. That's why. Measure F was that device, but it failed at the election. All right, it failed in 96. Okay, Jerry Brown came with Measure X. It won in 98. Measure X was essentially the same, except Elihu's version had, I believe, 2 at-large council members. Jerry's had 1, and also this, we called the Jerry Brown fix, where he didn't have to come to council because he didn't really want to deal with the peons under and all that stuff. That's how it was presented to some people. Okay, although Jerry actually likes people, he just doesn't want to sit there the entire time. It's kind of like, okay, I'm done. He did that to when I had a meeting with Paul Tagliabue in May 10th of 2005. He shows up 20 minutes late and leaves with an hour on the clock. Guess who was mad? Paul. And then when Jerry walks in, he goes, "Paul, what do you think of some of these cockamamie ideas?" So the Commissioner Tagliabue defends me. Thanks. Anyway, if we had a council manager form of government, all that stuff that I went through, all the stuff that Robert Bob went through where he got fired for pushing the A's ballpark would not have happened. And the A's would have had a downtown ballpark. You understand what I'm saying? All right. So Okay, what is this? Do you think going strong mayor would be a good call for Oakland? Okay, I think I answered that. No. Sorry, it's a different topic. Okay. When did they approve CWS? That was originally 2016. He says, what? And then who was the council members who approved it and who went to Vietnam when Sheng was elected? The Vietnam trip happened August 17th of 2023. And there wasn't a council member that went on the Oakland side. There was Vice Mayor San Leandro, Lena Tam went, county supervisors. But in terms of someone, a rung lower than Sheng, no. No, unless there were 52 people that went. 52. It wasn't an entirely Oakland trip either. For example, the Vietnamese chamber in San Jose went, as well as Oakland. They took a large contingent, and I believe they paid for some of the trip for the San Leandro side. Jin Tran ran for Barbara Lee's, running for Barbara Lee's seat. Yep. And I know Jin. Jin's a good friend of mine. In fact, she's supposed to come on the show. Hey, Jin, been calling you. In fact, let's see here. Where is... Nah, I'm not going to do that. Tourist 908. Okay, this is before the FBI got involved. Right. That's what I'm getting at. The FBI, how the FBI got involved is still the mystery. Ms. Webb would like everybody to think it was her. But I was told it wasn't. It was the Public Ethics Commission that got the FBI involved. And then in their tentacles, in terms of who to talk to, then they talked to Ms. Webb. That's what I was told. But see, that would have been February 3rd of 2023. So a lot had to happen between the 15th, when I got those emails, of January, and February 3rd. So something to me is still not jiving. I miss Chauncey Bailey too. Rest in peace. Kalb seems competent enough. Thanks for showing the clip. Thank you very much. Yeah, folks. So what I'm going to do now is I've got 2 other live streams. This one is an hour. This is good. This is time well spent. I needed to do this. Thank you for watching. And I need to actually make an adjustment real quick with respect to that, because I didn't do it right now as I think about it. Excuse me. But yeah, and to close, I invite the mayor on. Okay. Right now, I invite the mayor to come on and talk about this and what happened. I invite all council members, advocates for, I don't care what side you think you're on. I think there are too many sides anyway. Because we really need to have talks about, about what's happening, how to think about this, what really did happen. And also, I think most importantly, settle upon how we should really should move forward. That I think is the big question of the day. How do we move forward from this? How should we? Because those conversations are being had all over already. Might as well come on here and keep having them, right? All right. So thank you, everybody, and hey, live long and prosper, by the way. Ending this stream, and then you say the next stream that's coming up will be, let's see here. What do I have in the what do I have here in the till? Next, I believe it is, hold on a second. I will let you know. I've got 2 others because this is getting late. Later, rather. It is, I've got FBI raid of Oakland Mayor Sheng Thao home. Yeah. The next video I have is a short one. Live stream. Why? Because it features evidence that the person who opened the door was the mother of Andre Jones. All right. And it'll be up in about 3 minutes. So yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you. And please thumbs up and please share. like this and subscribe. Please subscribe. And hey, donate. Zenny 62 Media is a for-profit on Delaware C Corp. So yeah, we like money. We're not nonprofits around here. Just saying. And around here is spread out nationwide. I've got 11 vloggers involved in this. All right. Well, not in this particular issue. Some are NFL, some are Comic-Con, and so on. All right. See you all later. San Diego Comic-Con. We need to get WonderCon in Oakland. All right. We need a convention center in Oakland of 600,000 square feet. All right. See you later. 1 million. See you later. Thank you.